All right. We are live for the X's show. Technical difficulty free tonight. A lot of
Hopefully.
things to talk about. Hopefully we get through it okay. I think we're going to be good. We got all the kinks worked out. We are so many episodes into this show now that we've stopped counting. We don't care. Consistently for about 2.5 months, almost 3 months, we have come at you live every Sunday night at 8 o'clock, just about every Sunday night. There's been a few exceptions where we've done it Monday night, whatever. But tonight we've got a really good lineup of topics, and we're going to go ahead, shoot the intro at you, and get right into them. Now, before we get into the topic, I just want to remind you all, please comment, join the conversation. We want your feedback. We want to hear your opinions on these matters. And we encourage y'all to call in the show in our fourth topic or fourth segment. We have a call-in segment. And if you feel like voicing your opinion, you don't have to put your face on camera or anything crazy like that, but you can call the number and you can talk to us. So, Silicon Valley beef, let's go.
Meta launching a paid verification service for Facebook and Instagram is honestly so dangerous. We literally saw this go down with Twitter. And today, Mark announced that basically you can buy a blue check mark on your Instagram now. Hopefully the process is better than how Twitter handled it, but essentially you have to have a government ID that matches the name on your account. Meta says it's about increasing authenticity and security across all of their services, and it'll also allow you access to better customer support. Influencers go crazy for the blue check mark. Like, I know people who've been trying to get a blue check mark for years. So this is just going to be interesting. It's literally just going to cost $11.99 to get this blue check mark. For now, they're just launching it in Australia and New Zealand, and then it's going to roll out to other countries. As much as this could be dangerous and it's kind of cringy, I think if you're a creator and you've built a career building an authentic audience on Instagram and you've not been able to get a blue check mark, this is an interesting opportunity. And I think you should test it out, especially if you're getting more support from Meta for when things like a hacking occurs or your analytics are broken. Those things can be valuable.
Okay, Meta offering a blue check mark for $12. I'm just going to go right out and say it. I think that this is Zuck slapping Musk in the face. These guys have had a long-going beef between one another. Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk absolutely do not like each other. Elon fell flat on his face trying to offer a paid verification blue check mark. I think that this is Mark looking at this and saying, that's not a bad idea. And I'm going to show him that I can do and get away with what he cannot. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it is a copycat, but it also goes to show that Zuckerberg's running out of ideas if you're going to hurry up and steal something from someone you don't like. But as far as the blue check, I honestly think because here's the thing, if anyone can buy it, anybody, then anyone's going to buy it for no good reason. And then it kind of ruins that, just the inclusiveness of the people who have it, right? Like, we know the celebrities have, we know some influencers fight to get it, right? But if everyone has it, how is that going to look for like people who are trying to get like sponsors and stuff to take them serious? Because after a while, it's going to be kind of hard. You know, they're going to have to really look into these pages. And then I think if they're trying to, he's trying to make it cool to where you have like access to talk to someone. Instead of stealing that man's idea, just give us the access to talk to a live person.
Yeah,
because I don't really care about the check mark. A verified mark, what?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. So I've been a paid advertiser on Facebook and Meta for years, and I've used other platforms as a paid advertiser, LinkedIn, TikTok, Google, all of them. And I've said for a while, the first one that can crack the customer service code will win. And this isn't just from a marketing standpoint. Hey, I gave you my money and this isn't working. Whatever, I need support this way. It's from a I lost my password kind of standpoint. And I've said for a long time, I think that these companies are large enough, get paid enough, and are big enough that they're almost a public utility now. We should have at least one office in every state that we can call and talk to people, you know. And is it frustrating that my paid marketing dollars, right, as an advertiser, I'm paying these platforms already? I'm already giving them money.
And you can't talk to no one when a problem happens.
It is frustrating that money wasn't used to create this customer service infrastructure, but doesn't change the fact in my mind that the infrastructure is needed, not just as a creator, not just as a content creator, but as a consumer, right? And so I will happily pay a little extra for that access to that customer service, because I use these platforms in every possible way that you can use them, professionally, as a content creator, as a consumer, all around. And it just irks me that there's nobody to speak to. You think about the censorship issues that they've had over the years, how much it would have helped if they would have had a number to call, you know, a Facebook Ohio, or, you know, something to that effect, that they could speak to somebody to say, this is why your stuff got censored, or to just manually look at it and say, you know what, you're right, this shouldn't have been censored, you know.
Or the restriction that has been in appeal for over a year. And you can't cancel it. And I still have heard nothing back, and you can't cancel it because, and I think that he did that purposely so that you couldn't cancel and resubmit thinking that it was shoot it to the top or something. It's like you just only once, and then they say, well, it's supposed to take 72 hours. So I can tell you firsthand.
It's not a person, you know? I mean, and that's the frustrating thing, is like, these companies are billion-dollar producers, and Meta's decided to take all of this earnings that they've made off of this advertising machine that they've made, and they're dumping it into virtual reality and basically research and development. That's what it amounts to. It's research and development. And hey, I'm all about that. I really do think we need research and development, or else cool things couldn't be developed. You know, you can't have a future, you can't have new things if you don't burn money trying to figure things out, right? You have to invest in research and development. I get that. But it's very, very lopsided. Very lopsided. Like, the amount of money that they're putting into this virtual reality stuff is ridiculous. And now they've acknowledged that there's a customer service issue by taking this idea from Meta, or I mean from Twitter, you know. And it's like, hey, the first one that does it, the first one to see themselves as a public utility, like the phone companies. It used to be, you know, we all had landline phones, and if something was wrong with our landline phone, we could call the local phone company and we could figure it out, right? And so I compare social media now to that kind of, that solid of a form of a communication. And I think that we need maybe not that heavy of an infrastructure. Technology's progressed enough that we don't need an office in every village and town across the country, but we should have one at least in every state. There should be a Facebook Ohio office, you know, and it's part of, for me, it's also about putting back into the economy that you're extracting these profits from. You know, this would create jobs for people, and you'd hope that they'd be decent paying jobs. So the first social media company to embrace this idea is the winner. And, you know, if Facebook or Instagram or Meta, whatever you want to call it, if their way of achieving this is some sort of paid verification, I'll buy in. I will.
Wasn't Twitter's $12 too for the check mark?
That's what I'm saying. Elon.
So it's like you couldn't make it $1 less or 10 even. You just had to run and steal it. But here's the thing though. Okay, remember when the pandemic happened and unemployment, they managed to hire all these people at home to answer the calls and help people with their unemployment
Yeah.
applications and stuff.
Yep.
They could have been if unemployment could figure out to do that in a little amount of time, they had to get the ball rolling. Facebook could have been did it. They just didn't care. It was
I
just
know.
simple as that.
I know.
They just didn't
I know.
care.
But what am I going to do? Sitting back, wanting these services, wanting this infrastructure. They propose an idea that they say will offer it. I'm going to support it because I would be a hypocrite if I didn't. I've been saying all along that the social media company that decides to implement real customer service will win the day. Here they are offering it. I thought that Musk offering it, I didn't think it was a bad idea. I know a lot of people said, oh, terrible idea, whatever. But it's like you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? If you want customer service, there's got to be a form of revenue that will pay for it. And so they're trying to generate a new form of revenue, you know. And hey, the other thing is they're going back the other way too. It's not as if they're not trying to pay content creators. They are. They've implemented stars, you know, they've implemented different features when you reach a certain amount of audience that allows you to monetize. So it's not like it's just a one-way street. Meta is doing things. They're doing the right things, in my opinion. And the idea that I've already given them my ID. In order to be a paid advertiser, you have to, especially if you're running political campaigns, you have to give your ID to them. Honestly, I think all social media platforms should absolutely require an ID. That would get rid of all the trolls. Yeah, it gets rid of all the trolls. Then you don't have to worry about
kids off of it. Yeah, I think that it should
too.
be age restricted to 18 and older. I really feel like teens shouldn't have a space on Facebook. I'm sorry, or on any social media platforms. But that's another topic. Now, do you feel like it should be?
We should talk about maybe not this episode, but we should get into it because the rates at which young people are unaliving themselves is alarming. It's ridiculous.
And then
what do we have to point to? It's crazy.
It opens, you know, the door up for a lot of just predatory behavior and stuff like that. But so you don't think that, okay, I don't think the just regular Facebookers should get it. I think it's if you have like these kind of creator pages, it makes sense to have it. But having a regular Facebook account, like I've had the same one since 2009. I mean, I don't need a blue check mark over there. Everybody knows that's my page. Now, as far as the ID thing, it's not just if you're getting advertising. If you go to Facebook jail, you got to show your ID to get out. So
yeah.
So,
no, I agree for real. and that's part of the problem too. Facebook has allowed personal pages to be declared digital creator pages. And there's just way too many people now that are trying to get in the earn money on Reels game. And they're not even creating Reels. They designated themselves a digital creator because Facebook allowed them to, but then they're not creating anything, you know? And so for real digital creators like you and I, it creates an saturated market where people with that designation don't take it as seriously as they should anymore. Right. So that is kind of frustrating. I think that there should be, and I don't think that it should be based on a number of followers. I get frustrated on that because, you know, you may have a small audience, but still consistently create good content. And so I think it should be a measurement of the number of videos that you post, specifically videos, because anybody can write, post all day and publish, right? But if you want to be considered a digital content creator, I think you have to be a video creator. You have to go on live and you have to consistently post videos like we do, right? And then
like they should run checks to make sure. So like say if they give it to you,
quote, like,
they should review it in like every 90 days. And if they're not seeing that you've been consistent, like you may have posted like 3 videos, take the check mark and say, hey, it's gone.
I mean, what you do is you say, okay, 15 videos a month, right? That's one every other day. At minimum, you are a creator, right? Or 4 lives a month, right? And you are a creator. Something to that effect, but it shouldn't be based off followers because I feel like you can be a creator trying to build an audience and having a hard time doing so, struggling to do so, but consistently putting out a good product. So
do you think YouTube will be next in line?
I don't know. I'm not real big on YouTube. You know, this show the only one. This is the only project I've ever really been a part of that consistently published to YouTube. We do every week, but
Right. But
yeah,
they've got some over there who do. So I'm wondering, will Google kind of jump and say, hey, well, they're doing it, let us do it too, to kind of see who's better. Now, but the difference is with the partnership program is you do get a YouTube manager though. But
yeah,
I've heard that they're not consistent in their work either. A lot of times they can't even help with the situation. Like if your channel becomes snatched and you're contacting them, they don't know why. So I don't know. They may jump on that and try to say, well, hey, you can get a blue check mark.
yeah.
That'll kind of help.
Well, it's possible, and
Yeah.
that will make it hard on content creators like us because now we're paying all the platforms for a freaking verified check mark. But the other thing is like there is a real issue out there with people copycatting accounts and so on and so forth, and so this is a way to combat that as well. So
Mhm.
I do. Going back to the beef, though, I really do think that there's a lot going on behind the scenes that we're not aware of. That is a motivating factor of this. I really believe Mark Zuckerberg is slapping Elon Musk in the face. He's kicking him when he's down. Right.
Mhm.
Right now, Elon Musk is drowning in Twitter debt and just controversy, and Tesla shareholders are screaming at the rooftops that he's abandoned Tesla, and he is just like he just threw himself into the mud of the social media world. And I think Mark Zuckerberg is taking this as an opportunity. He's using this as an opportunity to kick him when he's down. But that's not a good idea with Elon because he's a very persistent guy. And I do believe that Twitter will end up being a good product, whereas it hasn't been, at least from my point of view, for the normal person, it hasn't been a place that you want to go to post content. But he's got some ideas. I think he'll get it going up and going. And I just generally don't think it's a good idea to root against Elon because he's a refuse to fail type of guy. He really is. He will not wake up one day and throw his hands up in the air and say, I give up on Twitter. He won't do it. He will not do it. He will die before he decides to give up on Twitter. So it'll either be a success or it'll be an utter complete debacle. And
Mhm.
I would say with his resources, his intellect, his history, he'll get it turned around over there.
Well, let me see.
All right, so we'll move on to the next topic. Another pretty fun topic, I think. Eminem's daughter, Haley. Y'all remember the song Haley? Eminem first attempt at singing in a song. Still one of my favorite Eminem songs. Haley recently got engaged, so let's talk about it.
It was a big weekend for Eminem and Kim Scott's daughter, Haley Jade, as the 27-year-old received a romantic proposal from her longtime boyfriend, Evan McClintock. Taking to Instagram on February 6th, Haley captions a series of photos, casual weekend recap, 2/4/23, ring emoji, I love you. For the most part, the couple, who reportedly began dating in 2016, try their best to stay out of the public eye. And while Haley's relationship with Evan is stronger than ever, the same can be said for her bond with Eminem.
She's doing good. She's made me proud for sure. She graduated from college. When I think about my accomplishments, like that's probably the thing I'm the most proud of, is being able to raise kids.
All right, would you be afraid to ask Eminem to marry his daughter? So put yourself in this young kid's shoes. How would you ask the infamous Slim Shady if you can marry his precious Haley?
I mean, pretty much how anybody else would ask. Or just
Yeah.
ask. Because but you see, because that's getting caught up in the title of that he has as a rapper,
Right.
an industry person, because at the end of the day, the marriage is still gonna go the same. Like you still, over here, you're gonna give him the ring, y'all are gonna exchange vows. Like eventually he has to give his daughter away, you know.
That's true.
So I wouldn't look at it as anything to be nervous about. I mean, if someone really, to me, if they really feel that, hey, this is a person I potentially see spending the rest of my life with, I don't
Yeah.
think I'd be nervous to ask the father. I think it'd probably be more nervous of getting to that day of getting married, because
Right.
like the day that some people, they're nervous on the day they're getting married, and
Sure.
that's a normal feeling. But I don't think that I'll be afraid to ask him. I mean, if they have such a good bond, I'm pretty sure there was a bond already established with the guy who got engaged. So no, I wouldn't be
His
scared.
name is Evan, and he has been with Haley for like 7 years.
So yeah, he's a son already. I'm pretty sure he probably calls him that. So yeah, I'd be like, hey, be your son. Hey, gonna marry your daughter.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I guess it just depends on the kind of person you are. But 7 years, you guys, you had to like him he's been around 7 years. And if she's got a close bond with her father, I'm pretty sure a guy being in her life, it's a requirement that you get along with my father, especially being that that's the parent she's closest to. So,
well, and to that point, Eminem, it's amazing to me. It's outstanding to me. It's almost mind-boggling to me, given the way that he grew up. Right, we know that his mother was not a good mother based off the music that he's made. He didn't have a father, doesn't really know his father. So in a lot of ways, you can just look at his childhood and say, boy, was that dysfunctional and toxic. And yet somehow he manages to become not only a good father, but primarily the caretaker as a single father, right? And not only has he done that, but he's done it great. Like he said in that interview with Mike Tyson, he said, that's my proudest accomplishment. And in my mind, it's like, it really should be. It should be, because you're not supposed to be a good father with your history, right? With your dysfunction and how you got brought up. And like, you're not supposed to raise a daughter that graduates from college and is with the same guy for 6-7 years before they get engaged. And it's like, I mean, he did everything right by the book when it comes to Haley. And he has another girl that he took in that I think is somehow related to Kim. His I don't think it's her daughter per se. Maybe it is. I don't know. I know it's not Eminem's child, but there's another little girl that Eminem took in and raised with Haley. So he actually raised 2 little girls all by himself. And if you listen to interviews of people really close to Eminem, like 50 Cent, he has left millions and millions and millions of dollars on the table, not touring, just making music in his house or at the studio, choosing not to go on tour for 6, 8, 12 months at a time. I mean, you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars in touring that he just said, I don't want it. I don't want it. My time with Haley, my time raising my daughter is more important than any amount of money that is out there for me to get. It really is a great example for a generation of single fathers that grew up at looking up to Eminem, like what he's turned into as far as a father. A lot of us that grew up listening to his music and so on. He's become a great example of a guy that found recovery. Not only did he find recovery, but is an excellent father. Has chosen to do it without a woman in the household, remain single doing so, and is in a happy place. Like it's an incredible story when you think about it. When you really put all the pieces together, you got to take your hats off to Marshall Mathers, not the rapper, the human being.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty impressive stuff. So, does anybody out there in comment land have anything to say about the things that we're talking about here? I keep bringing this graphic up, asking you guys to tell us what you think. Drop some comments and let us know what your thoughts are. The next subject that we're going to get into, it might be a little more triggering to people. We might be able to get little more people commenting on this. So, are men submissive? Let's check it out.
If you have a man that's willing to make certain sacrifices, he's willing to sacrifice his rest. He's willing to sacrifice his happiness sometimes,
right?
You know, in order to make sure you're straight. That's actually a form of submission. And so that is a man surrendering it in his own way.
Just looks a lot different.
It looks extremely different. Every way that a man loves his wife is a form of submission. The man is a protector, right? If he is willing to lay his life on the line for his woman, right? If he's willing to die for his family, there is no, that is the ultimate form of submission.
All right. So are men submissive to women? So she's saying, you know, things that men traditionally do, lead, protect, provide. These are a man's way of submitting to his spouse. Yeah.
Yeah. If in a marriage, yeah, because that's the only time it really makes sense. But yeah, they do, and it's something some women aren't aware of. I think because they mostly get sucked into the idea that the woman is the only one to be submissive. But and then even with some of the guys, because they'll go as far as saying like, men, you submit to Christ, and the wife you submit to the husband, because obviously the man is considered her covering. But it is equal. Like there are ways. So even like what she said, he's putting his rest on line to make sure that you're straight. But that's even in taking a back seat while she goes, accelerates her career or certain things. There's many ways that a man could submit to a woman as well. It's just with today's conversations, it kind of submission, the word itself, it leaves this bad taste. Like a lot of people don't want to have the conversation
with women specifically. Yeah.
Well, it's even with men, because like I said, when you reiterate to them that it is not a one-way street, it's a two, you get hit with that pushback of no, and they don't want to kind of talk about it. And then you have a lot of people running around talking about submission and they don't know what it is. They give their own definition of what it means. So it looks different to a lot of people. I think
it means you do exactly what I tell you.
They think it means oppress or like literally control. That's not what submission is. Right. And that's why it kind of ruined it, because I mean, it's not that, but yeah, men do. And I feel like if it's not reciprocated, then why are you giving something that's not being reciprocated?
The thing is, and I think when you say the word submissive, you're right, there's a lot of misconceptions about it. Generally what men probably think when you phrase, are men submissive to their wives, they think of things like, well, she told me to change the headlights on her car and I don't feel like changing the headlights on her car right now. I want to play this video game. And so I'm not going to submit to what she wants me to do. Right. And then on the reverse side, right, that's how people, or I think women take it too. It's like the men will say, well, you go do this today, pay the bills, do this, whatever. And, it doesn't have to be looked at that way. I am a firm believer in defined roles, and they don't really even have to be traditional in my mind, right? Like it's not like the woman has to do the dishes. Like I'm not that kind of guy, but I do believe that couples need to sit down and they need to define roles. They need to sit down and define roles together. This is your role. This is my role, right? And I feel like what you're submitting to is the covenant itself. It's like you're submitting to this idea that us together is higher than either of us alone, right? And that I'm going to give to this relationship in order to receive from it. And so I do think that when men lead, provide, and protect, those are traditional roles of men. I do think that is a form of submission to the relationship, to the covenant that they're in. I do. And I think that that's a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. When you talk about protect, I think that a lot of people are confused about what we mean protection wise in a modern sense, because we're not cavemen anymore. It's not like I need to protect my woman from a lion, right? That's outside, that's going to eat her. what you're really protecting your woman from is other men. You know, you're protecting her from, you know, just the world in general. And there are a lot of guys out there that don't respect relationships. They just don't. And then you also do have neighborhoods and communities where a woman is going to feel more protected with a man because they're just not very good places to live. And so these are ways that a man brings value to the relationship. So it is a form of submission.
Yeah, and that's why I said it only makes sense to do it if you are married to that person. You shouldn't be out here submitting to every person you get in a relationship with. That doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, to me, to have a person be submit to you, that's a privilege, and that privilege should be earned. It's not just you give it just because that sounds right, because that's backwards. And there's a reason why they said wife and husband and not girlfriend and boyfriend. So, with that sense, yeah, in a marriage, that makes sense to do so.
Sure.
Outside of that covenant, like, we're just like doing the dating thing.
Right.
Not, you haven't earned that right. To earn that right is, you have to, make that vow to not just me, but to the Most High. And if you ain't done that, don't expect
Sure.
it. Because
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean like you're going to be getting disrespected or anything like that, because that's a whole different thing. I mean,
Sure.
in fact, it's not even the same. But yeah, it just makes sense for that, because it's more than just the providing and the protection part. Like, it's more than that. It goes a longer way. It's even in the decision making, right? Like, you may feel this way and the woman may feel that way, and it's like, okay, when you think about it, hers makes more logical sense, or may be best suitable, so you swing in that direction. Like, okay, that's a form of the same thing, and vice versa, to her following your lead.
Well,
Because I don't think
it's also like the providing. Let's talk about the providing part. There are, despite women coming into the workforce, despite decades of women, increasingly finding higher paying jobs and so on and so forth, there is still a situation where many of the most high paying jobs and careers out there are very physical in their nature. And what you find is families that are built in a more traditional way. So the man goes out and uses his physicality, puts his physicality on the line, breaks his body for the sake of sending or, providing resources to his woman and their children. That's a form of submission, right? He's sacrificing himself every day, going out into the world and breaking his body for the benefit of the people that are at home, right? That don't have to do these things. And I just think that that's lost a lot. So, but my says more so as they get older, and I think she means that men are more inclined to be submissive as they get older, or more inclined to understand these concepts and ideas as they get older. And I think she's absolutely right, because emotional intelligence is not something men generally find until they get a little bit older. And I think women probably find emotional intelligence a lot sooner than men do. And this is probably why you see a lot of women that are younger interested in men that are a little older, because they're from a EI standpoint or emotional intelligence standpoint, they're more compatible. They're in the same place.
in the same place. How?
Emotion, as far as their intelligence with their emotions.
You talking about a
Right.
younger person dating the older person?
Slightly, yeah. So
Mindset wise, there's two different mindsets in the equation.
I'm saying younger men tend to be more immature, and younger women tend to find their emotional intelligence sooner.
Right, but they're still impressionable underneath a certain age. So that's why
No,
I'm
I
saying that.
agree.
Yeah,
I think
it's not.
I think you're misunderstanding me. I'm not talking about people that are in their early 20s. I'm talking about, you know, you're of age that you should be thinking about long-term relationships, right? 25, 26 years old is when you become emotionally intelligent. That's where you develop ideas long-term.
Yeah, I know what that means. I was saying, I thought you were talking about like, like, oh, they're younger and then they're seeking out the older. Cause yeah, like that's
No,
a,
I'm saying, like, I think that people sometimes will question why a girl that's 25 or 26 is interested in a guy that is 9 or 10 years older than her, right? Well, it's because the guys her age are, to my mind's point, they're not emotionally intelligent. They don't get it yet, right? So they seek men that do.
right. But
That
see,
can
even
provide
that's
security,
testy.
that can provide security, stability, provide, lead.
Right, which is true, but even the emotional intelligence part, you got a lot of older men who don't even have it yet still. So that's why I said it's a catch 22 with that. You're going to find some that do, and then you're going to find some that don't, because again, you do have a lot of older people that tend to manipulate younger minded adults, whether it's male or female, and it tends to happen because they're more impressionable and they understand and know that, so they kind of play on that. It's like
Yeah,
playing on
when I
someone's
have these
vulnerability.
talks, I'm never advocating for predatory behavior.
No, I'm not. It's not even predatory because it doesn't fall in that. What I'm
I'm just
saying
saying,
is that
my stepdad's like 9 or 10 years older than my mom.
right,
My grandmother, who was the one that commented, also, right, her marriages, I believe, were with men that were older. My Aunt Janie dated or married a man that was significantly older, right? And I'm just pointing to a trend there, right? There's a reason
well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But
for
I'm
why
saying
they
there
prefer
is still
older men, right?
yeah, but there's still you still have that because again, if they all were emotionally intelligent, all of those older people would be in marriages right now, and we see that that's not the
Right.
case.
Yeah, I get
So
that.
that's why I was saying that it's a catch 22 with it. You're going to find some in the mix of there, but then you're also going to find massive groups that still have not figured it out. They've just been kind of running through life, running amok. But I, again, that's why I say submission is not for the unmarried. And it's not,
Right.
it should never be an expectation because you have some people who literally say, well, if they're not submissive, then there's no point in trying to marry them. You're asking for something you haven't earned the right to yet. Like you have to earn the right to have either or submit, because submitting is also being able to trust. So are you even trustworthy to even have that? Because in a sense, submission is almost like you're putting on a blindfold. If I'm going to follow your lead, then you have to first of all know how to get people to follow you. So that makes sense. Like, but it's not just this is how man's perception of it is and it should happen. No, that's not the case because we've seen people be misled by men all the time.
Yeah.
And so that's why I said it's a privilege and you have to
I-
earn that privilege. You can't come in to a situation with a woman, same with the woman can't come to a situation with a man and demanding that someone just literally just start following their lead or doing as they say. Like, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah. So to what I was saying, and I think what my was saying, and I think Bill is agreeing here. What I'm suggesting is that as men get older, right, they're more inclined to understand the sacrifices that they need to make and how that is a form of submissiveness, if that makes sense. And as that plays to women, I'm not advocating for predatory behavior. I'm just saying women that are looking for security and stability, for leadership, for someone that can provide and protect. Generally, those things come with a man that's emotionally intelligent. You have to understand these concepts. So it's good fun talk. So the next topic, and we're going to encourage y'all to call in our line here and talk to us on the telephone. The next topic is about men and are real men going extinct. So, we have all kind of as a species grew into this very comfortable place, and how has that affected our biology? Let's check it out.
The reason that there's such a void of male role models for young men is because we literally do not have adult males in our population anymore. There's grown men everywhere, but they're not actually physiologically adult human males. So in biology, there's this thing called neoteny. An organism will retain juvenile traits as it ages if it doesn't get stressed out enough. If you live in an environment that's too easy, you don't actually develop adult characteristics. I noticed this when I was in high school. I grew up in a very affluent area. And when we went to our grad night, it was at Disneyland. And we went with a bunch of inner city schools. And everyone I was with realized that all of these kids looked like adults. Yeah, because they were in a more stressful environment, which caused their adrenal glands to upregulate, which caused higher testosterone levels, which made them literally adults. It made them adults in a way that we were still juvenile. Every organism has multiple phenotypes it can have, all right? Your phenotype's dictated by your genes, but what dictates which genes get expressed is your environment. The best example of this is pigs. Domesticated pigs, the pink ones that you all know and love, that's one phenotype. That's not even their healthy phenotype. You take a domesticated pig, you release it into the wild. After 6 months, you have a feral boar that has grown thick, curly hair and tusks. Why? Well, being in the stressful environment causes its adrenal glands to upregulate, increasing testosterone production, causing it to take on a different phenotype of a boar. Another example of this is with wolves and foxes. If you start to breed wolves and foxes and you select for more passive traits, their adrenal glands get smaller. As their adrenal glands get smaller, they develop floppy ears, curly hair, and spots, all things we find in domesticated dogs. Right? It's all based off the adrenal glands. Look at the population right now of adult men. What do we got? Men have never been fatter with lower testosterone. Men have never been fatter with lower testosterone. Those are both juvenile characteristics. It's because they're domesticated. Most people are domesticated. So why do men have all these juvenile characteristics? It's because people are domesticated animals now. Most human beings are domesticated animals, especially if you live in the United States. A domesticated animal is an animal fed by humans, taken care of by humans in order to get economic gain from them. What do you idiots do all day? You just consume media, consume pills, consume food. You are domesticated livestock, and then you use your free time to then generate more labor and wealth for rich people. You're domesticated animals. The reason young men have no one to look up to is because a little piglet wouldn't look up to a pig. It wants to be a boar. And all it sees around it is pigs. And it's like, I don't feel that in my heart. I feel like I'm a boar in here, but I have all these pigs in charge telling me that, don't worry, I'm definitely a pig.
All right. So are we losing real men? So guys got, fairly extensive explanation for why men are becoming domesticated. And a while back, I was going down the rabbit hole of this very topic and found that, there are measurable declines in testosterone levels in men. Is this an observable fact, IKEA, you think? Or are we losing men, real men?
You saying strictly due to testosterone decrease, or are you saying just?
No, I'm just saying the world is becoming an easier place to exist. Men aren't living as tough as lives as they used to. Generally, there are still men out there that have very difficult lives and stress and so on and so forth. But, the idea here is that, men aren't required to be men. And so they're not turning into men.
Yeah. But again, it's like, okay, so how you have like the Boys and Girls Club, right? For the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the Boys and Girls Club, like leaving that into adulthood, you still need like a Boys and Girls Club, but obviously you call it like the Woman and Man's Club. And the reason why is because, yes, men will have male friends, right? But how many of them are literally telling them things that they need to hear versus things they want to hear sometimes? And the reason I say that is because it's kind of like this with boys. Boys, to me, education is important to an extent, right? But this is what kind of happens when boys aren't outside enough. They're inside. You think about 6 hours of school. They're sitting in a seat, listening to 9 times out of 10, a woman teach them all day long. When a man, a young boy, in the old days, the men when the father left the house, like if he worked out on the farm or something like that, that little boy after breakfast, he went with dad. They were outside. They were learning how to use their hands, where now we got society saying your kid needs to be strapped to a seat for 6 and 7 hours a day in school. Then to get home, they got homework, so they're sitting on their tail again. And then you just have 2 days off on the weekend, right? So you do that for so many years and you grow up. It's no wonder they don't want to do anything, because you got to get them while they're young. It gets them used to it, right?
Yeah.
And then if you look at how the education system is in other countries and how it kind of differs from us. Yeah. They gotten lazy? Yes. There's so many people who can't build a cabinet. Can't can't change a tire. They don't know how to do anything manly, and it's like, what?
The sad thing is there's no end in sight. We're building robots as we speak that are going to just take us further down this rabbit hole. But Joe Rogan, I think he repeated this. He heard it somewhere else, but he said, tough times create tough men. Tough men create, tough men create soft men. Soft men create tough times. And then the cycle starts over again, right? Mm-hmm. Tough times create tough men. So I think that we're experiencing that. And it's a wonder at what point are we going to reach tough times that require men to be tough? And, this is not to knock men out there that have tough lives, because there's plenty of them out there. But you also have to as a man, you got to take responsibility for your own manhood. And it's like he said, men are getting fatter and they have lower testosterone. Like,
right.
You got to take responsibility for yourself. Go hit a heavy bag. Go pick up some dumbbells. Get off the video game. Go build something. Like, I've spent the last month doing nothing but building things around my house, putting shelves in, exercising, things that I bought for the kids to go play outside, a trampoline for them to be outside because I'm sick of seeing them inside. You just got to take responsibility for your life and realize that, if you're not active, yeah, you're going to age quicker, you're going to gain weight, and you're going to be miserable because it's an unnatural place to exist. Just is. Men need to be men. Men are supposed to be physical beings. And hey, I have a job that requires me, right? I don't have a physically intense job. I wish I did. Sometimes I have a very hard time, like sitting still all day. I have fidgets. I have like little balls and fidget spinners and like all these little things that I use to sort of like stimulate myself. And I get up and I walk around all the time because it's just such an unnatural place for me to be. And it's to the point now where I'm like, I need a stand-up desk because I just can't sit there and feel like I'm allowing myself to melt away.
So get a podium at work. Just bring a podium to work. Because that's about there. You're not gonna get it. Well, I mean, your desk is standing up.
I look
taller than it.
For those of you that don't know, I work in economic development. And so we look at very big picture, macro level stuff, visions of the future, this kind of stuff. And I seen a local statistic recently that was very alarming to me. But it is what it is. It's an observable thing around us too. But the statistic was this: 60% of local jobs are now white collar jobs. 40% of them are blue collar. Right? Now, how did our economy evolve to a place where there's more administrative work to do than there is actual production of tangible things and services? It's just hard to believe that there are, like, our system is so complicated now, our economy is so complicated that there's more of a need for people to move information around than there is to be out there building things. Like, that's an issue. That's a problem.
Hiring too many. Like, I really think if they made administrative too big. It is necessary because every business needs administration. Like, you can't just do the execution and no one's doing the paperwork on the back end. Like, everything needs balance. But what you're saying is with that, yeah, like there's too much. But then you know what it also creates in the job market is, again, in what we were talking about last week, where we were saying like how to separate yourself from the competition. If you can do this and I can do this, what is it that you can do that this other person can't do? It's too many of you are doing the same thing. And so what I think they could do is they need to downsize the administration amount of physical bodies and maybe increase the pay for those small sector people, so to give them more responsibility, pay them a little more, and then because it makes it hard.
I seen a meme the other day, and there's so much truth in it. So much truth in it. And you guys, everybody has to remember that internally, emotionally, I am forever a blue collar minded guy, right? Like, I got my professional start being a logistics packer in a warehouse, lifting the most heavy and pushing around the most heavy stuff in the warehouse, right? Like 55-gallon drums of oil that weighed 600 pounds and machines that weighed 300 and 400 pounds. Like, that's how I started my professional working career. I went back to college out of necessity because that kind of labor, that kind of work was not paying me enough money to provide for the children that I had. And so I felt like the only way I'm going to survive is to use my brain, not my hands and my body. But I still think of myself as a blue collar guy, even though I'm not, you know. But you're right. What we need to do, first of all, there's a need for blue collar guys. There's more of a demand for that. But I seen a meme the other day, and it really struck true to me. And it was something to the effect of like, there's nothing weirder than a guy that makes $40,000 a year looking down upon a guy like a plumber that makes 85 grand a year just because one works in an office and the other works out in the field. And it's like, who do you think you are just because you work in an office looking down on somebody, right, that makes double what you make working out in the field? But where we're moving is like teachers for generations and generations. Teachers are educated people. And so teachers are almost instinctively supporters of education. They want to tell everybody about the benefits of education. I see education as being trades too. I think it's all education. Education is the passing down of knowledge, but the teachers got to get out of the mindset of telling these kids that the way to go is college. That's where we're getting off the beaten path here, because now there's more of a need for non-college required positions. We need more plumbers and carpenters than we do college educated guys. And so our rhetoric needs to shift. We need to, our teachers, and as parents, our parents growing up felt like college was the meal ticket. And so that's all we all ever heard from every adult everywhere was go to college. If you can get through college, that's your meal ticket. That's not the case anymore, people. Mm-hmm. And we got to stop making kids think that that's the only way to get ahead. I'm a college graduate. I'm not saying college is bad. I'm just saying it's not the only way. And we got to get away from making it seem like it is the only way. We got to encourage kids to use their physicality and be proud of using what God give them.
But that's why I said, but that's what we've ran into, because we got away from, after breakfast, the boys were out in the field and they were utilizing their hands to learn skills, how to cut wood, how to build things out there with men. Like, they weren't sitting up under women or a woman all day. If you were the boy, you went
Right.
out and you used your hands. You, in
Yep.
some type of way, like that's what
Right.
you did. I mean, think about like the kids in certain villages in other countries where they have to every morning walk miles just to get a bucket of water and bring it back. They're still utilizing their body. They got to carry that for miles and miles and get
Yep.
back to the house. But that's why, is because we've gotten away to where we think sitting, which we know excessive sitting is bad because that contributes to blood clots, right? But you got to move around, because I mean, I get you're antsy. I'm antsy, but I think you're more antsy than me, because you start walking in circles and I get dizzy. But
Yep.
yeah, but I think that's on me. I think if it was in person, it wouldn't. But yeah, so because we all do. Like, even when you're sitting still, it is not good. You get bored quickly. Like, even when you're working in an office, like, I would find excuses to get up just to go look out the door, like the exit, like out the window at traffic driving up and down the highway, because I'm like, I cannot just sit here all day.
Well, and I want to I want to emphasize too, to this guy's point. We're just talking about physicality in general, but this idea that he has, and I firmly believe this because I see it play out in real life. It's like stress and struggle produces better people. Overcoming adversity, right? He said the environment that you grow up in, the stresses that you're exposed to, the obstacles that you have to overcome, they activate your adrenal glands and they produce testosterone, right? And I know that this is the truth, because you can see it in the kids that were coddled their whole life, right? They're just not, they don't have the kind of integrity and character that people that struggled a little bit have, right? And there's a line there. You don't want so much struggle that you're like just like desperate to survive, because that creates poverty, creates violence, and yeah. But you do want the right amount of struggle in your life. You want the right amount of failure. You want the right amount of adversity. You want a little bit of tragedy. And I hate to say that, but it's the truth. You need, in order to really be a man, you got to be strong enough to know how to overcome these things. And when your family comes up against a moment of adversity, if you shatter under that pressure, then you're not a man. You, as a man, you got to stand up in moments where your family needs you and be the shoulder to cry on. You got to be the one that stands tall with your chin up. And, you just can't, you can't develop that skill without having a little bit of struggle, and, back to the Eminem thing. Like, you look at what he's done, and of course he's a multi-millionaire, so you don't want to give him too much credit. It's a lot easier on him to raise two kids, but when you're a grown man and you have to lead, provide, and protect for children, it really doesn't matter if there's a woman around. The stresses of that, right? You still need to embrace the stresses and anxiety of those obstacles. That's how you raise your children to be good men. It's that simple.
Yeah. Like I said, get them back outside. I think Boy Scouts kind of died down a little too much. Now it's still around, but I mostly always see more Girl Scouts than I do Boy Scouts anymore. I find that kind of sad, because at least they learn how to, what do they call that with the rope? They made a certain type of knot. What was it called?
I got to be honest with you. I had the boys signed up for Boy Scouts and I was all about it. In the first meeting that I had, they explained to me that they go on a ton of different, they go on these outings
to sell
all
popcorn
the time, right? But the problem is these outings, they cost money.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many of them that half of the existence of a Boy Scouter is fundraising, right? And as a parent who's already stretched super thin, Boy Scouts was just too demanding for me personally to be able to keep up with. I mean, if I had another parent in the household that could help me manage that, then it would be a viable idea. But what I did find recently, and they're very excited about, they start tomorrow, boxing classes. Free boxing classes. Don't have to pay, don't have to buy gloves. Only requirement, show up with a good attitude.
Is that down at the salt factory they're doing that at? Or?
No, not anymore. It's Champagne's doing it.
Okay.
I think it's on 4th Street. I think she put together it's a nonprofit, and somehow they found the funding to create a facility where they're offering these classes. And that's the kind of thing, and it's 4 days a week. They're running these kids. They're not it's not like some little baby thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just like one night a week or something. No, they're really pushing these kids to learn. And I think that that's a good skill set. The thing is it's like, I'm such a believer in learning boxing or martial arts, or because I did take a little bit of boxing, but it's like, even if you're, even if you're not the type of person that goes looking for fights, you should still know how to protect yourself, because everybody in their existence at one time or another is likely going to come up against a situation where they have to protect themselves, period.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just a believer in learning that as a skill set, period, because I just think it's valuable. The other thing that I think these sort of sports, combat sports, the other thing that I think it does, I think it creates confidence, especially in young men. Because if you look at men that really are confident that they know how to protect themselves, they carry themselves differently, right? There's just a different way that you carry yourself. When you're confident that you can protect yourself and that there ain't nobody can mess with you, you carry yourself with more pride and confidence, I think. And so I think that those are good things for kids to learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think everybody should know how to defend themselves regardless of their age. You should know how to defend yourself, because I saw something, was it yesterday, and it was a woman. She was actually an off-duty officer, but she was walking down the street, and this guy, he was walking down the street too, and I think he was trying to mug her.
Oh, wow.
He found out the hard way too. Play stupid games, you're going to win a stupid prize. And that's exactly what he did. And I said, you know what? Oh, well, because you're going to learn, just because these are women, and it could have been a man. You cannot go out here trying to take from someone or physically harm someone, and all they're doing is minding their business, walking down the street. You got what you was asking for. I mean, and she pretty much had him submitting to her by the time it was all said and done.
I got to tell you, if I come up against, I almost welcome those kind of scenarios, because, well, one, I'm confident in my ability to protect myself. But the other thing is, if I feel like if I fear I can't protect myself against you, I have a little thing on me, you're not gonna mess with me. And so when I'm out and about, if I come across a situation like that, or somebody tries me, I almost enjoy it. It's kind of twisted in a way, but it's almost like
It's
dare
so
you.
much going on these days, so it's
just
like you
dare
can't feel
you.
bad about what their outcome is. You have to think about it is, you could have. That's how I look at it, and I just tell people, never get it twisted.
Yeah,
It's always there. It's
Yeah.
always, I don't leave home without being secure. It
Well,
just
I
is
think
what it is.
you carry something a little different than me, but the
I don't
point
believe in
is
tasers because
any
it just,
anybody can find out. Anybody. I don't care if you're 6'5",
well,
300
yeah.
pounds. You can find out. I will drop you.
Yeah, it just, you have to be, because now there's people that, like I said, there's some people so far off their rocker, you just don't know what anyone's going to do. So that's why I just tell people, if you can
You
get
gotta
afford to go to like self-defense classes, take mixed martial arts, boxing, whatever. I tell everybody, I think the best thing you do is do mixed martial arts, because again, boxers are only good on their feet, but when they get on the ground, they're kind of useless. So if you got someone who's good on the ground, they may not be good. Say if they get you on the ground, what are you going to do? And actually, in mixed martial arts, they teach you that, like, it's yes, it's a mixture of both standing up and on the ground, because a boxer, you can't fight a boxer. A boxer already knows what to do. But if
yeah.
you get him on the ground, that's where you got to take advantage of the situation. So, I mean, I say go for mixed martial arts, because then you're going to get a little bit of both. And, you
Well, I
know,
mean, I think you start with boxing. If it evolves into mixed martial arts with the kids, that's great. But they're at a place right now.
yeah.
David, when he flings his arms in the air, it's almost funny. I'm like, dude, if that's how you're going to throw a punch at somebody, you're going to be in trouble, man.
Well, he's a little, you got to let him get the technique taught. He'll stop doing that.
Exactly. That's why he's signing up to learn the technique. And again, if it evolves into something more than that, then great, we'll do it. We'll sign them up. But it goes back to like my mindset. My mindset lately has been active, active, active. Over Christmas, I bought a heavy bag. I recently just bought a speed bag. The speed bag that I bought was kind of inexpensive and kind of just like it's a spring-loaded speed bag. It's not on a swivel. So it's not really you can speed bag with it, but it's not like how you would use in a boxing gym. So now I'm actually pricing and planning on buying a real speed bag, but that's going to take some fabricating. I'm going to have to buy some 2x4s and like I'm going to have to fabricate some stuff in order to hang it, but I'm going to do it because one, I like waking up in the morning and working out before I get my day started. And in between my weight reps where I'm lifting, I don't want to get on a treadmill and run. That's not the kind of cardio that I'm interested in doing. I would rather have a heavy bag and a speed bag or some sort of, variety of different, um, boxing tools that I can use. There's reflex balls. There's all kinds of, and then heavy bags, they come in different sizes. Like you can buy a spring loaded heavy bag. You can buy a speed bag that's also spring loaded on the floor. So when you punch it, it actually comes back at you. So you have to
Yeah, they have that one. It's kind of like that, but it like you turn it literally. It spins really fast. So the whole point is to hit it. It'll go the other way, but then it's still going to keep. So like one of those. But yeah, like that treadmill has been debunked. Like it's literally, if people are still buying treadmills today, I don't understand why. Like there are other exercises you can literally do instead of
you got to
getting
do
on a treadmill.
resistance. It's weightlifting, or if you're not real strong and can't do weightlifting, then you need to start with some sort of resistance training. So you need to get some sort of resistance band,
Yeah, you
sit
gotta get the
up,
good ones though.
the old school ones, the old school sit-ups, the old school push-ups, learning, pull-ups are difficult. Most people can't even do one, but you can actually set up to where you get on your knees, and if you can't do a full pull-up, what you can do is pull down and count, and then just tense your muscles up and then start at least gaining strength by how many seconds can you hold yourself up, right? And then eventually, if you do that long enough, you'll be able to do one pull-up, and then you do one pull-up a day until you can do 2 pull-ups, and then when you do 2 pull-ups, you can do 3. So
yeah, and then it's just learning how to lift your upper body, because if you got to learn how to have upper body strength is how you're going to be able to be good at the pull-up bar, get better at the pull-up bar, is being able to lift that upper body weight. It's like being a stripper, right? And not even to bring them into it, but the one thing you can say about them,
that's
literally that's why they stay in shape, because being a stripper requires nothing but upper body strength. You have to be
You ain't
able
getting
to
there.
lift yourself up. So when you see, that's why their legs are toned. They usually have a six pack. Now, there are some women out there, the exception, but I'm talking about real pole dancers. Like, that is what they do.
Right.
Their flexibility stays on point, because that's not an easy thing. Like, you see it on TV, and that was one of the reasons why I appreciated like watching like the interview with Brand. Her name was Brandy. I forget her last name, but she was in the P Valley thing. And like she said, it looks like that's what they're doing. But she was like, what I liked about the director is he actually allowed for you to hear her breathing while she was doing those moves, because they literally do that in real life. Like, you are utilizing that strength. She was like, you get bruises and everything from that, but it keeps your body in shape.
Sure.
And that's why you're getting a lot more people. Like, they're doing travel pole dancing classes that they're teaching. Like, they're going over across the country.
You
and they'll go
signing
to
up for
cities.
that?
You can sign up for it.
I know.
I'm saying, like, you remember Flirty Girl Fitness? They were trying to say that old cheap old pole with the DVD.
I mean, you know,
No, I didn't, but I'm saying, like, yeah,
well,
it's
why not? Why not?
I mean, guys could do it too. They can get some upper body strength.
Why don't you sign up for it? You're such a fan of it.
I'm saying I appreciate the art of it. Now, the stripping part, no, I'm saying like the art of the fact that you can literally die falling off of that the wrong way.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Like, I appreciate the crap, because again, dancing falls in the category of art. So, and art is subjective, but
I agree.
that whole thing there, like, yeah, people are making money doing it. They literally go like to major cities, and they have so many people showing up, and they literally will teach them certain little things, you know, like to help them. And then you kind of can take that and build from there. And then you can always like get on YouTube or something, or TikTok, because P Valley had everybody buying a pole, which was crazy, but it was funny. But yeah, it just whatever works. But get off the treadmill. There's literally something that'll take away from the I think you can literally do it in your bed. Like putting your legs up against the wall and like you're lifting your bottom, like it just does the body. So all you're doing is hurting your ankles on a flat treadmill. If there's no incline, it's not doing you any good.
To me, this kind of goes back to the idea of pain tolerance, struggle, adversity. Like, I pride myself on being a strong person in every sense of the word strong, to the extent that when I work out, I started working out about a month ago, and the first couple days that I worked out, I wasn't getting any kind of reaction from my body at all. I wasn't able to do enough push-ups that I could feel a burn. I wasn't sweating. I wasn't like getting the sort of like, pain out of it that I wanted. So I went and bought a sweatsuit, and I bought a vest to put under the sweatsuit. So now every day
waist trainer?
Huh? No,
Oh.
it's like a weight vest.
Oh, okay.
Well, this is not a weight vest. I have one of those coming in the mail. But the point is, like, the sweat vest and then the sweatsuit over top of it, right? And that's how I exercise every morning now. And I'm forcing my body to react in some way, shape, or form. And by the time I'm done, I'm sweating so profusively that I know that I've pushed my body right into some sort of adversity and struggle. And I'm still working on the weight part where, I'm now doing enough strength training that the next day I wake up and my muscles are sore from the day before. So most people have a problem putting themselves through that much adversity. That's why they don't want to exercise, because they just don't embrace the pain like I do, right? And you have to. I embrace the pain because, daggone it, growing up, I didn't have it always easy. And I was always told there's somebody out there working harder, willing to withstand more pain than you are. If you want to be strong, it's all about your tolerance for pain.
Well, not to the point where you're like putting your body in like a bad condition because you're overdoing it. But yeah, like you're going, if you're working out, you're going to, because like I said, there are ways that you can utilize the muscles, but the best way I can tell people to get muscle is you have to burn the fat and then build it back in muscle, because fitness is 80% nutrition, 20% workout. So that's the thing about it. Yes, it is. It's
I
what you
think
eat.
that's a sorry excuse.
No, it's not. That's a real thing. It's 80%
Get
nutrition,
out of here.
20% fitness. Because if
Lift
you,
weights. You want results? Lift weights. You can eat
yes,
whatever you want. Lift weights.
no, you got to change up your diet if you're trying to reach a goal, because that's the
We gonna
best way to
argue?
do
We gonna
it.
have this debate now?
No, I'm just telling you from
Yeah,
actual
okay.
people that I know and have seen them do this. Literally, I'm telling you, you see the difference and you feel the difference. If you
So
change up your
you,
diet,
if you lift weights, if you exert so much energy that your body then, and I've done this, then begins to desire more food. So you're exerting so much energy during your workouts that throughout the day, you suddenly find yourself more hungry than you usually find yourself. It's because you exerted all that energy, right? Whatever you put into your body the next day, when you go to exert that same amount of energy, your body is going to burn that because it's starving. In order to continue exerting all that energy, it needs whatever you put in your body. It don't matter. It's going to burn it.
there's a such thing as good and bad carbs. There's a reason for
I
that.
know.
But it's also the sugars, right? So one of the things of it with fitness is you want to cut out the unnatural sugars. You got to take that out of it. Like working out and then you still go get a soda when you're done. It's like,
Yeah,
do you
right.
really want to get
I
in
agree
shape,
with
or
that.
are you just
I
like,
agree
yeah,
with
but you have to kind of replace it, like replace your bad fats with like proteins. Things
I
like that, like eat a
have.
bowl of
Yeah,
oatmeal with bananas and not a bowl of oatmeal with sugar.
right.
Switch your milk to not make your own almond milk. Like there are ways you could do it. And actually, you guys, for the women, if you guys are wanting to do something from home, I literally let me know, because I'll forward you straight to someone who literally does. She's right now doing, it's called the Soft Fit and Curvy 12-week online workout
You
program.
doing it?
No, I haven't done it yet, but I think I'm going to sign up for it. But it's if you want to get yourself in shape, but you still want to have that soft feminine look,
Sign up
right?
for it. Video.
Yeah, it's online.
No, I'm saying you video the process and share it with everybody.
I'm saying if they're looking to start, some people might want to start now. Summer is 3 months away. Like some people want to go on and shed some pounds and start seeing a little result. But I'm telling you, but only do it if you're dedicated to following the plan. If you're not dedicated to following directions, you're not going to cut out your sugars and all that stuff. It just would be a waste of time. It's for serious people, women who are wanting to, like I said, still have that soft curviness to themselves, but they want to be in shape with it. So that's what I'll say. And it's 12 weeks.
And hey, to close it out, my mind wants to know, are men attracted to women bodybuilders? Just wondering. No.
Some of them are. Some of them like it. I've seen a couple that actually are bodybuilders and they're married.
Hey, I'm not saying that, I have
But not by a
against,
boatload.
I don't have anything against women bodybuilders. Don't take me wrong. Do your thing. Is it for me? No, I don't want a woman that looks like she can beat me up at my wedding. I'm good.
Yeah, that is true. You can she can have the 6-pack though. Don't hate on that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Just
All
not
right.
the.
This has been the Exit Show. Check it.